The biggest thing that the team's really been focusing on over the last couple of months is how do we deliver the right cut of this to ensure that we can deliver not just kind of a beta like other games have done, or beta, alpha, early access, that's kind of just a hunk of features that are just enough for a game. We've thought about it very differently, and what we're going to be doing is delivering this core version of the game that's just exactly what we need to make sure that we're testing gameplay that is delivered by having so many players play together in one game. We know that we can only do this with real world play sessions, and so delivering the first cut of the game that enables that is really what our eyes have been set on and the largest part of our focus. And we're giving a name to that, and it's called The Forge, and it's starting next month.
The Forge is the first step in our iterative development. It's where we kick everything off. The Forge is where we bring players into the game and we start building that out together.
Rather than almost ready Mavericks, The Forge is saying no, like this isn't all the stuff that will be in Mavericks. This is exactly the stuff that we need to test with you to develop so many new kinds of things that previously have been technically impossible, that rather than just kind of think of ideas and test them in isolation, we need to get you as the community involved in developing those things with us.
Players will play it, we will listen to your feedback, look at data, use all the analytics and make decisions off there. We may put gun in, doesn't work for you guys, doesn't play well, doesn't meet what we're trying to achieve. When we go back to the drawing board with that, or we choose not to do it and then we put something else in. It's an iterative process where we are constantly making rapid changes to the game to make it the best experience we can with the help of the community.
Taking out the noise in the design, going, right, what is absolutely fundamental to Mavericks, right? We need first-person shooting, we need the core elements of destruction, we need our deployment hall, we're going to push player numbers absolutely to the max, we're going to have a huge bloody game world. We're going to get into a workflow of velocity, so week on week, what can we add, how can we improve gameplay, and just really make this about delivering the best game we can as soon as possible. And you know what, you might stumble across a dam that has some slightly lower quality feel to it. It's a speed model, but you're on a dam and you're traversing over a mountain range, and that's something that would otherwise sit behind closed doors until it, ticks some arbitrary quality box.
Our long-term goal for the game is to make a really high fidelity product. But stepping back from that, we really want to focus on gameplay. We want to get stuff in quick and dirty and say, hey, play the game, see how this works. Instead of saying, let's wait all this time to do the art, because art takes time. We want to give players access, so that means sacrificing some of the fidelity.
So The Forge is a version of Mavericks that contains initially only some very core features required to test a massive game type of up to 1,000 players playing together. We'll be developing this game type with you over the course of The Forge, and then as it launches, the full version of Mavericks will not only have a refined version of this game type, but of course we'll also have support for additional game modes. Some of this stuff, it kind of comes with the full launch. The Forge is a way of us having rapid weekly iteration on the game.
We have, over the previous Making Mavericks and our various other outlets for information for the player base, talked about all the grand features we want in the game, all these different bits and pieces that's going to make the game interesting. And we still want to do those. But for the Forge to work, we are stripping back to the core, the baseline of what this game is. And from that, we will build out. Now, we've already got a bunch of hypotheses that we want to test. Everything that goes into the game has to have a hypothesis. What will this do for the gameplay? How will players interact with this? As we go forward, we're going to put stuff back in, put new stuff in, and we will test those hypotheses and see if they work. Because I think tracking people in the grass and footprints and stuff is something that will work incredibly well, but I don't 100% know that. With this iterative approach, we put that back in, we see how players use it, and we go, okay, so that works fairly well, but then we can look at improvements or changes to the basic idea behind it and grow from there to make sure it actually enhances the gameplay and isn't just there because it's there and no one uses it. We want to make sure everything we put in contributes to the overall game experience. So to do that, we have to strip back and build up from there.
And we'll actually be sharing with you what our thoughts are behind why we've added these updates to the game every week, and a lot of sort of data, like stats and analysis. We'll be kind of repeating to you what you've said to us, what the community is really saying, on top of what the data is saying. And we'll be really sharing quite a lot with you so that you can see every week this isn't just us adding a lot of content, it's us really thinking through what content we're adding so that we know what effects all of these different things have to this kind of new and very complex kind of multiplayer game.
A lot of games come out and it either works or it doesn't. And if it works, great, they iterate. If it doesn't work, even if there's some core of a really good idea there, it often just fades away. With Mavericks, we don't want that to happen, but we want to be sure that that is the game you guys want it to be, the game we want it to be, but we really want to push that. We want to build that game that works for everyone.
Despite this pivot, our focus from the start is how can we create like the best session gameplay we can and also complement your character, recognize that, reward you. We've taken that principle of persistence from our persistent open world and really merge that into the Battle Royale session gameplay.
The game type you'll be playing involves up to 1,000 players in a single game, but you won't necessarily all drop in at the beginning.
You know, we were always talking about that, well, we want out the player numbers, but you know, you can only have so many drop in. And we took a step back at one point. Why is that? Why is that sacrosanct in the Battle Royale world? And we're like, what would happen if an initial group of players jumped in? Cool, they start the game. Then can we put in other waves of players as the game goes on? Obviously there'd be a cut off at the end point because we want the game to end. And we're like, there is no reason not to do that. That sounds kind of interesting. Now we have some mechanics around that to do with rewards or starting the game. And if you come into later the game, you might not be as geared up, so you might be able to bring extra gear in with you. So we're looking at how we balance that out. But that's part of the Forge. We really want to test this as well. So we want to get 1,000 players in, see if we can do this wave deployment, see if it works. We have a good feeling that this could really change up the way people look at Battle Royale. So we're really excited about it.
You know, by having the game set up this way, we can offer a lot more feasible games for you to enter at any given point based on how many players are playing. But also throughout the Forge, of course, enables us to test huge numbers of players doing many different things without first of all saying, yep, we're only going to deliver the game session for this specific time window so that we have tens of thousands or more players online. This can be something which gives you those fast queue times and enables us to test more things without really making you wait.
And I hope the players are excited to be in a world or a game map with 1,000 other players. Just that scale, being in your deployment hall, seeing everyone else in before you jump in, and then when everyone jumps in and being in this large map, it's going to be, I'm interested to see the behaviors that come from that.
All founders will be able to access the Forge. We will have some restrictions in terms of concurrent players, but within a couple weeks we will have, you know, what we consider kind of full, persistent, always-on access to the entire community of founders who have supported the game already. On top of that, we will be opening up the Forge to a few more people, starting with the E3 and initial members who signed up earliest. It will then be a case of continuing with the Forge and weekly updates until we feel it's time to say, you know, to the whole world and really push and kind of call that the final launch of Mavericks. So when we first launch the Forge, we will be asking participants to agree not to share content from inside the game, online, on social media, on videos, etc. Now we know that people are very interested in doing that. A lot of players, you know, they want to share their experiences. So we're going to be enabling that as soon as we can. The reason why we won't be on day one of the Forge is because there are a lot of things about the game type that will be changing. Because we'll be changing the mechanics with you and changing ideas about the game. If we had too much content go out from this period, it would confuse people as to what the game is, and it's that little bit too early. So we are conscious that people really want to do this, and of course we support that. We want the game to get out there and for you to share your interesting experiences. So as soon as we can, inside the Forge period, we will be dropping those restrictions, but we'll have to let you know what date that is a bit further down the line.
I've been in the industry for a while, so this approach to me is like, when I first heard it, I was like, ooh, that's interesting. Can we do this? But as we progressed and as we looked at how we're going to build out the game and how the Forge could work, getting players in early, getting the scale of players in early is just going to really build out that community, help us just build the game. All feedback is good feedback. It really lets us say, okay, we thought this would work, it doesn't work, let's change it around. That rapid iteration really means we're going to be able to build a solid, interesting game. We have a lot of positives we can get out of this, and they outweigh any negatives we could possibly have.